we got? Tamara, thank you. Stuart, g'day Stuart, how are you? Kyle's Music Place, DJ Ultra. Hope everyone's staying safe. Spot on. It's pretty patchy internet tonight, guys. If you weren't on the TikTok live stream, I'm going to warn you, it might cut in and out. We're having a storm blowing around outside. I've had the table that sits just outside my reptile room door is out in the paddock somewhere. It's carnage. That's all I can think of. That guy does Cameo now. Yeah, I'll start back up the top. Good to hear, Kyle. Motorbike test. Can finally ride my 2 Honda Shadows. Been sitting in. He'll be here in a couple of minutes. Yeah, thank you, guys. You guys have got this down pat. You can entertain yourselves until best way to brighten another week of lockdown. Mickey boy, hello again. All right, I think I've caught up. G'day, everybody. How are you doing? Got to catch my breath. I've been talking to the TikTok fellas for a while. And trying to get some of them to hop on over here and say hello. 23 people. G'day, guys. How are we all? So, tonight I don't have a topic, but there is so many of you guys, we can just jump straight on into it. We're going to have a look at some snakes today. I've got Nala, the King Brown, who everybody always wants to see. We've got Brutus, the Red Belly Black. We've got a Tiger Snake. And I'm going to take out a Eastern Brown Snake, which I haven't taken out for the last 2 live streams. The last 2 weeks, if you guys, most of you guys, it's Rami just showing my mate this stuff. G'day, Rami, how are you? Your cam is blurry. Better? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I can do about it. Sorry, mate. Yeah, is it still blurry? I got a crack in my screen, I reckon. But I don't know if it helps. Is it so blurry you can't see? Because I can't do much about it. You know what that means? You got to get out Spitfire. I will. I'll go and swap them over. Can we possibly see the little scrubby sometime tonight? No, we certainly can. It's the internet connection, not my camera. Thanks, Tamara. I would have been wiping that for the next 25 minutes. It's a bit, but it's okay. Look, sorry, guys. We got terrible internet here at the moment. So, I got terrible internet every week, but this week we got a big storm like going right over our house for the next couple of hours. So, yeah, we're going to take out a couple of venomous snakes. We're going to take out a couple of pythons. We can tackle your questions. You'll just have to bear with the bad internet and put up with the fuzzy camera. I'm sorry. G'day from TikTok. How are you, Restless Crew? Can we possibly see the little scrubby? Yeah, I'll get out the scrubby now, eh? We'll get out the scrubby first, straight thing off the bat, because any excuse to take out my baby is fine for me. I should start coming up with a name for this scrubby, but I know if I name it, it's going to turn out to be the opposite sex. So, I don't know what we'll call it yet. $10. Who was that? I'll disappear. Henry Sarson, thank you very much, mate. If you guys are going to leave a super chat, really, leave a question, ask to see something. The least I can do is give you something for your time. This camera is fuzzy. I don't know. We'll see if I can turn my light down. All right, that makes a difference. So yeah, this is our baby scrub python. Yeah, it definitely is looking fuzzy on my screen. But yeah, thank you, Henry Sarson. The super chats and stuff, they all mean a lot to us. They go towards, you know, keeping everybody here fed and looked after and whatnot. Yeah, I don't like this screen. I don't know what's going on. Looked all right on TikTok. So yeah, this is our baby scrub python. This is probably my favorite, well, one of my favorite snakes here. I can't say that because Brutus will get jealous. But Brutus here, our baby scrub python here, is the smallest, the youngest snake that I have, but is quickly going to grow to become one of the biggest snakes that I have. This grows to be the biggest snake in the country. So hopefully, I'd love this snake to be a 5-meter snake one day. You know, have a huge enclosure, half the wall. Mickey boy, thank you very much. How big can I keep my freshwater crocodiles? I'll keep those freshwater crocodiles the rest of their lives. You know, they'll probably get maybe 2 meters long. I used to keep a 7.5-foot saltwater crocodile. So, yeah, it won't be too much different, really. Call him Billy the Bogan. This fella. Crocs live a long time though, don't they? Yeah, they certainly do. Well, so freshwater crocodiles crocodiles, the current science suggests that they live around 50 years of age. So, you know, if I was in my 60s, I wouldn't say, let's go buy a couple of crocodiles. But I imagine that my career will live longer than 50 years. We'll wait and see. But yeah. I don't know what's going on with this screen. Does it look okay to you guys, or am I just being fussy? But it looks terrible and dim in here. Why can't gator eggs hatch in Australian heat? You heard the reptile park collects the eggs. It's glary? Yeah. I don't know if it tanks. It's not always this glary. It is funny and glary. Maybe I'll turn this off. And glary. Maybe I'll turn this off. That looks even worse. Sorry guys, that's what's going on. Not fantastic, but it's all good. It'll drive me nuts. Turn it to the side, you reckon? It says orientation is locked. Rotate device back. What would I do with that, you crew, eh? Good morning, no hat on, no. No problem, dude. All right, I'll stop fussing. I'll try and just chat and we'll make do with that. And I might delete the video later because even he's not happy with how it looks. I'm getting all distracted. Looks like the lights from the cages. Yeah, I don't know, but they're always on. I wouldn't think they'd be making much of a difference. All right. Better? Better. Beats me. All right. Wipe your lens with the cloth, not my finger. You know me, tomorrow. I'm living in the Stone Age here. It's just filming in 220p or worse because of the internet. There you go. You guys are spot on. Look, I can catch the snakes and I can, you know, chat away about wildlife. But yeah, it looks better to me now. All right, we'll try it. Fixed. There we go. The lens looks grubby still. I don't know. Looking great now. All right, we'll continue on. So this baby little guy here is our baby scrub python, who, if you've been watching for any period of time, would know is one snake I have a real soft spot for. Not only because it's a new baby, because scrub pythons grow to be such a big snake. This is one of the biggest snakes in the country. And they've got these beautiful big platy scales on their head. So, you know, it's hard not to like that. To me, scrub pythons look kind of like somebody put a dinosaur through a sausage machine, which I'm sure I say every week, but it's true. How's more freedom feel without lockdown? Good to an extent. So look, we're not in lockdown anymore officially, but we're still not allowed visitors to the home, which unfortunately means all my birthday parties are still cancelled because I go to people's houses. I have one this weekend, which has been allowed to run because they're running it in a public space. But yeah, lockdown, even though, you know, we're out of lockdown, it's great. It's still hammering us. It's got to be, but yeah, it's hard to like. Reckless Crew, thank you very much, mate. It means a lot. If you do leave a super chat, guys, leave us a question or something. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. The Australian Reptile Park. Why do alligators' eggs don't hatch in Australia? They do. That's the problem. They'd hatch very well in Australia. So the reason that they would collect the alligator eggs, and when I used to work in wildlife parks, we would always collect the crocodile eggs, is because we don't want those eggs hatching in the enclosure for a couple of reasons. I used to work at a wildlife park in North Queensland, and we had 12 breeding pairs of crocodiles. And we had to remove these eggs because, you know, the enclosures that we kept our crocodiles in had mesh about yay big, and a baby crocodile would swim straight on through it. Same as the alligators if you've seen the mesh at the Australian Reptile Park. So you'd risk them getting out into the wild and surviving. By removing the eggs, you now have the option of whether you incubate them or whether you don't incubate them and just don't produce more. Because especially with alligators, you don't want to produce more alligators if there's not other facilities that want the alligators. So it's a part of population control as well. So it's safety for the environment, making sure the alligators don't get out into the wild environment, and also making sure that that they don't breed more than they really want. Also, in crocodile farms, they remove them because they want to incubate them specifically to be male. How old are my baby snakes? This guy here is maybe 3 months old, 3.5 maybe. Yeah. Congrats, I'm in lockdown for 5+ weeks. Yeah, we've just finished our 5th lockdown. Kyle, you are amazing. Help lessen the stress, fella. Keen on seeing that King Brown. All right, I'll get a King Brown out for you, Kyle. We'll put our baby on Scrubby back. He's gorgeous. Could a scrub python eat a crocodile? A scrub python, in my opinion, could eat anything an olive python could eat. They're not quite as bulky, but a big scrubby, like the record-breaking scrubbies, would give any olive python, any wild olive python, a run for their money. Because, look, olives are a bulkier snake, but most people's idea of olive pythons are like an overfed Labrador. It's a captive animal that's been fed up. Wild olive pythons are still leaner than the captive version, so scrubby could eat the same stuff. I think it's less likely to because scrubbies' habitats, the waterways that they're living with, are largely populated by salt water rather than freshwater crocodiles. And they're not olive pythons hunt like at the water's edge a lot. So I don't think a scrubby is incapable of doing it. I just think it's not likely to. But all right, Kyle, we will get you out Nala. I had Nala out on our TikTok. She's doing well. Beautiful girl that she is. I've started to get really attached to this snake. I love Nala. So Nala here is the King Brown or the Mulga. I know Tamara hates it when I say King Brown, but everybody knows them as King Brown snakes. It is a terrible name, and I know I say this every week, but it's a terrible name because the King Brown snake is in the black snake family. But I speak mostly to farmers and people in rural Australia, and if I say Mulga, they say, oh, what? So I use the word King Brown just because it's what people know them as. And they're a brown-coloured snake, so, or she is. So King Brown sort of works. It's a bit misleading. It's not taxonomically. That being said, the tiger snake's not a tiger, so who knows? I won't be able to answer your questions while I'm playing with her for a little bit, but the King Brown snake, this girl here, for those of you who are new and aren't familiar with Nala, Nala is a female King Brown or Mulga snake, and she's what we call a Kununurra Mulga. So the locality that she comes from, where her grandparents or great-grandparents came from, was Kununurra on the top end of Australia. Basically the border of Western Australia and New South Wales, which grows some of the biggest mulgas. Being a female, she won't get as big as a male, but I was only thinking today, like, she's getting to be, she's a reasonably large snake already. I'm 1.6 meters, she'd be 1.5 at least. So, yeah, she's getting to be a big girl. I do have a friend who offered me a male, but I just don't think I can afford it at the moment. And the male Kununurra is well over the 2 meter mark, so he'd be a big boy. The Mulga really seems like the King Cobra. The Mulga fits the same role in Australia as the King Cobra. He's a snake, he's a large snake, and he's a snake eater. And he even has these short, solid fangs. He's got quite thick, short fangs that is designed basically to puncture through a scale. Everything about him is designed as a snake eater. He will eat frogs and things like that, which has been to his detriment. Mulgas have been absolutely hammered by cane toads. On top of that, in the 1820s, 1830s, some scientists put this guy, when they were trying to figure out what family to put them in, classified both the Mulga and the red-bellied black snake in the genus Naya, which is the cobra family. So we don't have any cobras in Australia, but these guys, they share enough similarities that it got some early taxonomists very confused. I'll put her away, that way I can answer some more questions, and then we'll get out to some more stuff, eh? But there you go, Kyle. Thank you for the super chat. The least I could do is get out a snake for you. Big tip. She is absolutely love the Pseudocus. Yeah, the Pseudocus or Pseudochus, whichever way you want to say it. They're very cool snakes. Like it would be a subspecies. No, so the Mulga is not a subspecies of the cobra or anything like that. They're both elapids, but the similarities are down to convergent evolution. So we mistook the Mulga for a cobra because physically they're these big, solid, hefty snakes, chunky heads. But yeah, they're not actually that closely related. Yeah. I love coastal pythons. I can get you out a coastal carpet python. Love it, thanks. No worries, Kyle. The very least I can do. All right, we'll get out a coastal carpet. You guys have never had your tanks open much with the lights off, so hopefully it's not too much of a change for you. But Mickey boy, the coastal carpet that we have here, I used to keep a few of them. I used to keep a lot of them. But the only coastal carpet I have now is Quasimodo. It's quite a light, pretty coloured coastal. But this is Quasi, one of our coastal carpets. So of all the coastal carpet python subspecies, I don't like the term subspecies for coastals because, or for carpet pythons, because we break coastals and diamonds and Darwins and Centralians into subspecies, but really genetically they're all the same species. If you're watching the Olympics at the moment, you'll see there's people different colours and shapes and sizes all around the world. We're still all the same species. We're not different subspecies or anything, just local variations. If I do a video on wedge-tailed eagles, travel to Western Australia, Kangaroo Hillsville Sanctuary, I'd love to do a video on wedge-tails. I've got a friend in Sydney who has one that's glove trained, and they free fly for events. Is it Rover or Rowdy? It's Rover that I'm taking out tonight. For the same reason, because I can't touch my toes at the moment. I've hurt my leg. I've tried to get out the smaller snakes so that I can hold them up rather than have to work with them on the ground. He's giving me a cuddle. He thinks I'm a good tree, basically. Yeah. So yeah, Rover is the brown snake we had out. So yeah, I'd love to do a wedge-tail video. We've got a wedge-tail video planned, but it's going to be a little while before anybody's allowed to go to New South Wales, I reckon, and that's where I've got the most access. The problem with places like Hillsville Sanctuary is they've got amazing animals. I could do so many videos there, but they look at a small channel with 15,000 subscribers and they say, well, what's in it for us? And I could say, a few hundred people might see it and maybe one or two of them might come and visit you, and it's not worth their time. You know, if we can grow the channel to 100,000 subscribers plus, we can then go to zoos and say, look, you know, we've got this big audience that'd love to see your stuff. We can sort of have a bit of bargaining chip, but currently most zoos just aren't interested in having us come and film. I make a good tree. I'm a pretty handy tree. They sit around your neck for heat. Yeah, so your neck and your elbows are where the blood vessels come to the surface. So those areas are often warm. So Diana, when I had her out before, she was wrapping up around my neck. And some of the people on TikTok, they get nervous. It's just because it's warm. Also, it's just a convenient place. So, you know, your shoulders are the easiest place for him to perch. So it just makes sense. He's probably not too worried about the heat. He's just come out from his enclosure. It's quite warm. He was at the cool end of his enclosure. So it's not like he was chasing heat in his tank. But yeah, he does have a pretty pattern. Do I have a hair-nosed wombat? No. So we do have a wombat. But our wombat Boo, she's what we call a common wombat. I like the name forest wombat rather than common. What is the best first-time venomous snake since you live in Victoria? Ooh, it's tricky. I'm always a little bit nervous telling people or advising people about keeping venomous snakes, or even keeping snakes in general. But if you're dead set about keeping venomous snakes, I'd hope you're already working with venomous snakes, you know, at a friend's place or at a facility or something like this. There's not that one of them is better than the others. The black snakes, the king browns, the collets, the red bellies, in some ways more forgiving to work with. My first venomous snakes were tiger snakes. I really enjoy tiger snakes. But basically, there's no one species that's like the best one. Death adders are really popular first venomous snakes. I don't suggest death adders to somebody. If your goal is to work up to taipans, I don't suggest getting death adders just because they're venomous, because you handle them differently. You don't really hook and tail them, so it doesn't prepare you for something else. But I wouldn't get taipans. I wouldn't get any of the brown snakes. Outside of that, whatever you can already handle at somebody else's place to be familiar with is a great idea. How's my man Bruiser? The name Bruiser is settling in. I haven't got Bruiser here tonight. He's still in the other room because I've been feeding a few animals this week. But I do think the name Bruiser is stuck. I do like it. I'll try and get Bruiser out for next week's live stream, eh? Maybe we'll get out another venomous snake. We're a copperheads native too. So Australia, we've got 3 species of copperheads. we've got the alpine or Highlands copperhead is found in sort of eastern and northeastern Victoria, in parts of New South Wales. So basically places at altitude. So through Hillsville, the Dandenong Ranges, all the way up into the high country. We've got the lowlands copperhead, which is found a huge chunk in New South Wales, pretty much all of Victoria, pushing into South Australia. And then there's the pygmy copperhead, which is found on Kangaroo Island, the Adelaide Hills. Bruiser Tamara is the name that was suggested by Brian for the blue-bellied black snake, who I don't take out that often because he doesn't see the hook real well. But yeah, our blue-bellied black, we sort of Brian suggested Bruiser, and in my head, I've been referring to him as Bruiser when I'm talking about my partner about him. So yeah, he must be sticking. But I don't have Bruiser here tonight. I do have everybody's favourite venomous snake. Well, I say everybody's favourite. If he's not your favourite, I don't know why. You're watching all the time. But we'll get out Brutus. So this is Brutus. So Brutus is our red-bellied black snake. He's probably the most popular venomous snake we have on the channel, and the TikTok people love him. If you need Olympic updates, you're watching it too, guys. Yeah, I haven't got to see any of the Olympic updates. A friend of ours apparently won the first medal for Australia. Brendan Smith is a family friend of ours. He's, we live down the road from his parents, and he was practicing in my mum's pool during lockdown. So that's about the only Olympic interest I've had so far, but I didn't even get to watch it. But Brutus here is our red-bellied black snake. He's the one that everybody seems to know and remember. Largely because, I think it's basically because he's relaxed enough that there's a lot of footage of me free-handling him. And while I don't encourage anybody to ever free-handle snakes, Brutus is a snake that I can handle that way from time to time. And it seems to just stick in people's minds. People resonate with that. Whether it's because they just want to see me get bitten and then they end up accidentally learning along the way, I don't know. But it does well. But the red-bellied black snake is one of the coolest snakes in Australia. They found same thing up the east coast of Australia. So from way up the top end of far north Queensland, you do get red bellies. They're a little bit different coloured up there, but the further south you go, you get this. Well, up north they've got a brown nose, and the southern populations have a black nose like this guy here. And they're found all the way into South Australia as well. I was talking to somebody the other day about why these guys aren't found in Tasmania, because Tasmania is the perfect habitat for red-bellied black snakes, and they don't live down there. And I think, my opinion, is that when Tasmania was connected to the mainland, whatever the habitat was in the Bass Strait mustn't have been suitable, because Tasmania's suitable, Victoria's obviously suitable, we have them here, but it mustn't have been good habitat in between, because they never made it down there. There's no evidence of them even in the fossil record or anything. So, but they're very cool snakes. They're also fairly unique. The black snake family are all egg layers except for the red-bellied black snake. So yeah, if you watch our videos, you'd know one of our most recent videos that did well was 10 things you didn't know about the red-bellied black snake. So people loved that video. It's yeah, great to see a video do well for a little while. We've still been getting hammered by the algorithm from a year ago when we took a break. So good boy. We'll put him away. We'll answer some questions. Maybe I'll get out a python or maybe a lizard. I feel like the lizards get neglected on our lives sometimes. So maybe we'll get our lizard out. I need a name for your red belly. Well, my one's Brutus. So anything except for Brutus. He's a very relaxed snake. He's a very good snake. What class reptile license would you need to keep a coastal? Do you live in... It depends what state you live in. I don't know about other states. There's plenty of brown noses where you work. So in Victoria, coastal carpet pythons just need a basic wildlife permit. How much damage can the red belly do? In theory, it can kill you. So there's never been a healthy adult human being killed by a red-bellied black snake. But it's not that they're not capable of doing it. It's just that they are less venomous than tigers and browns and things like that. And thankfully, good first aid. anti-venom, all that sort of stuff means that people just don't die, but they are capable of killing you. Realistically, worst case scenario, you can have some pretty bad side effects. I've got a friend who was bitten by a red belly, and he still has some sort of health issues. His fitness is still shot. People lose their sense of taste and smell. They can lose sensitivity in their fingertips, and that can, on play to all sorts of things. Like I used to play quite a bit of guitar for a hobby. If I lost fingertip sensation, I'd be in all sorts of trouble. Can you do a video with me? If you've got an idea for a collaboration or something, then send me, add me on Facebook, and we can talk about it and see if there's something that could work. I'd wish you'd do a video on the black-breasted buzzard. I'd love to do a video on black-breasted buzzard. The wedge-tail video would be cool. I'd love to do wedge-tail videos. We've got 3 wedge-tails living on the farm here, but you can't get close to them. But if I had to pick, the black-breasted buzzard is the coolest raptor, the coolest bird of prey in all of Australia. It's like a slightly shorter, butchier, wedge-tailed eagle. And like you said, that they crack eggs open. They'll collect a rock and they'll carry it to emu eggs and they'll smash them open to get inside. They're amazing birds. Red bellies seem to be the most placid. Red bellies are generally placid as far as venomous snakes goes, but they've also got strong feeding responses. So I've had red bellies who'll go from really relaxed to biting themselves at anything that moves. So I don't like saying that they're placid and then somebody getting a red belly and getting bitten and saying, well, some guy said that they're placid. So how is it we managed to drive so many animals to extinction, but we struggle with cane toads? Yeah. I suppose the issue is the Australian animals are susceptible to extinction for a couple of reasons. It's a good tiger snake. I'll get a tiger snake out. Australian animals are susceptible to extinction for a couple of reasons. Obviously, we're in an extinction crisis all around the world. So there's a global issue with extinction. But here in Australia, in my opinion, the biggest reason why we've got extinction is such a big issue, the first one is we're isolated, which means that our animals have evolved in isolation. They haven't had to cope with competition and getting faster, smarter, fitter, more adaptable. A lot of our animals are arguably less adaptable than other places because they've lived in a country where invasive species haven't been able to move in. It's not like if you were an animal, all the South American animals, when South America ran into North America, there would have been a mass extinction from all these North American animals moving in. We just weren't there to see it. Now that they've been joined for tens of thousands of years, we've got an argument going on in the comments about the snakes. Now they've been joined for tens of thousands of years. The animals that have survived because they've got this ability to adapt to the new competition coming across from another country. Australia, we don't have that. Other animals haven't reached here for thousands and thousands of years. We do have placental mammals. People think that we only have marsupials. But our placental mammals, the rodents, they've been here in 2 waves. The old rodents came here 4 million years ago, and the new rodents came here 1 million years ago. So, we're talking about a long time for the animals here to not have to deal with competitors. So that makes our animals especially susceptible to invasive species. It also makes them more susceptible to diseases because they haven't had to evolve resistance to diseases that might exist around the world. The other thing is, because our animals are so unique, we've got more, a huge amount of endemism, which means our animals aren't found anywhere else. We don't have plan B. So take Montana. The state of Montana wiped out the wolves from Yellowstone National Park. Around me, you sneaky bugger. Wiped out the wolves from Yellowstone National Park. And am I able to hold up this end? So what they did, they went to Canada, they found some more and they brought them back. If we run out of kangaroos, we can't go to another country and just bring them back. So we don't have that same benefit. So we don't have plan Bs, and our animals haven't had to evolve with all the competition that other places do. I'm going to see if I can get you facing the right end of the hook again, Rami. I should have got out Spitfire, eh? Murphy's Law. Get out the cheeky bugger. So, this here is Rami. Rami is one of our 3 tiger snakes that we keep here. He's probably the one that's come out in the most live streams lately, just because he does sit a hook a little bit better than Spitfire, who is a big, impressive tiger snake. But the tiger snake here is about the 4th, 5th most venomous snake in the world. Told it should listen. Next time I will get out Spitfire. Even then, I can't reach my toes at the moment, so I can't work with the snake on the ground. And Spitfire, I feel bad. Spitfire is big enough that he just seems uncomfortable sitting on a hook. Whereas Rami can climb it too well. We'll pitch you away. So I'm not sure actually how I'm going to go with Rover, because the brown snakes I usually work on the ground. Yeah, Spitfire is easily more impressive than Rami. G'day Unity Force, how are you? Finally a good snake. Oh, well, I'll remember that next time I take out any other snake. I won't do any other venomous snake videos, just Rami. Is it beautiful? I suppose I'll have to approve of him. I think that snake is hooking. Yeah, Rami is a sneaky snake on the hook. Kayla. Sorry, Kayla. See ya. Who else has got their COVID shot? I'm not allowed to get it. See, Spitfire is king. Yeah, well, if we put the two of them together, we'd find out who's king pretty quickly. And I dare say I put my money on Spitfire. We could probably fit 2 Ramis inside Spitfire. So, is a tiger snake venomous or non-venomous? That tiger snake I had out just then is among the most venomous snakes on the planet. If you ever see me handle a snake with a hook, it means it can kill me. So yeah, he is the 4th or 5th most venomous snake in the world. Used to be, up until the 1900s, the leading cause of snake bite death in Australia. The only snake that kills more people than the tiger snake in Australia is the brown snakes. And we'll get out a brown snake in a minute. I'll catch my breath, I'll get a drink, and maybe we'll take out a lizard for a minute, and then we'll get out a brown snake, eh? What is recovery time after being bitten by a tiger snake? It varies massively. So, like, I know people who've been bitten by tiger snakes, and the next day they're at a hospital and they've just got some swelling. I've got another friend, Ben Avery, who was kind enough to do an interview with us. His video talking about his tiger snake bite is on our channel. And he has been told that down the track he might need a kidney transplant. So it's going to affect him the rest of his life. Right, we'll take out a lizard, because I feel like we don't do enough lizards. There you go. Can I get prickles? I can get prickle. I'll keep the blue tongue out for a little while and then I'll get prickles. This is one of our blue tongues. This is a beautiful alpine blotch blue tongue. It's Bertha. We've got Bertha and Jabber, our 2 alpines. Sorry, people, got to go. 27-year-old man that can't stay up as late as you young kids. Look, Kyle, I get it. I'm usually asleep by this time every other night of the week. You'll give me... I'd give you my kidney. I hope I never need another kidney. I've never had a venomous bite to date, and I'd like to keep it that way. Where does the dingo finch begin and where does it end? It begins somewhere in central Queensland, north of Brisbane, south of Rockhampton. I don't know the exact starting point. And it goes... I've crossed it several times, but I crossed it way out in central Queensland, like inland central Queensland. It goes straight across Queensland, through the corner of New South Wales, through South Australia, and it goes right into the Nullarbor Plain in the middle of nowhere. Are dingoes actually invasive? Great question. It's really a massive scientific debate. The vast majority of biologists currently have settled on the fact that dingoes are basically a native species. When dingoes first arrived, they evolved elsewhere. There's no argument about that. We know that dingoes evolved on another continent. But when they got here, they've been here now, well, the oldest fossils are 3,000 years, 3,500 years. But they're halfway down the country. They didn't come from Indonesia and turn up in Alice Springs. They came from Indonesia and walked through Papua New Guinea, which was part of the Australian landmass at the time, through Northern Australia down into Victoria and South Australia. So to get to Central Australia, they would have had to be here for a long time already. Genetic differences show that they've been separated from domestic dogs for between 10 and 18,000 years. So they've probably been here for quite a long time. And today, as a general rule of thumb, areas with dingoes have greater biodiversity than areas without dingoes. When they first arrived, animals that couldn't tolerate dingoes died out. Simple. But when they first arrived, they would have been the equivalent of foxes today. The thing is, that was a long time ago. And today, they've been here so long that the animals that exist have evolved now in ecosystems with dingoes here already. So, yeah, it's a complex thing. They stole a niche from the thylacine. However, now that they're in that niche, the Australian ecosystem need them. Yeah, basically. So, they've now filled the same role that things like thylacine, some of our other marsupial predators. People don't realise, 10,000 years ago, we had more than one species of thylacine. We had half a dozen thylacine species. So, yeah. But today, weren't they originally an Asian wolf? It's up for debate. Some scientists don't classify them as either a dog or a wolf. They classify them as something separate again. Yeah, it's really, really up for debate. Unfortunately, there's not a great deal of funding going to researching that sort of stuff with them, but great to see you showed your reptiles. Any new ones? There's no new reptiles lately. I try not to get new stuff, like I don't get stuff just for the sake of getting it. It's usually when somebody's offered me something that I can't say no to. But I forgot all about Prickle. Are you going to bite me, Prickle? Prickle is probably my favourite lizard. I love Prickle. Prickle is our Cunningham skink. So this species is found all over Eastern Australia and into South Australia. We need 10 things you didn't know about dingoes. I've been working on 10 things you didn't know about dingoes. I've got 8 facts written out. I've been putting it off until I can visit a facility with multiple dingoes. And probably over puppy season. So it's puppy season now. Basically, if I can visit a facility where I can have dingoes free ranging, it's a lot better than the dingo videos that I've got on my channel. They're usually my dingo, Aztec, on a lead. And him pulling and tugging and, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. The Cunningham skink, the biggest skink in Australia. This is a Cunningham skink, but they're not the biggest skink in Australia. The biggest skink in Australia is the land mullet. So it gets much bigger again, almost twice the size. Is the tiger snake more dangerous than the Mojave rattlesnake? It's significantly more venomous, maybe 10 times more venomous than the Mojave rattler. More dangerous is tricky, because what makes a snake dangerous? Toxicity, how venomous a snake is only one very small part of what makes it dangerous. The snake that kills the most people in the world, the saw-scaled viper, isn't even in the top 20 for toxicity. Because the inland taipan, most venomous snake in the world, can kill you 180 times. Never killed anybody. Because it's all about, where they live. It's all about where they live, the habitat types they live in, how many people are coming into contact with them, what the first aid is like in those countries, all sorts of things like that. The biggest thing that makes a snake dangerous is the human factor. Death adder is more dangerous than the rattlesnake or taipan. Yeah, all the elapids are generally more venomous than the vipers, but the vipers kill a lot more people around the world, largely because the snakes that kill the most people, things like saw-scaled vipers, Russell's vipers in India. If you took those rattlesnakes from America and you dropped them off in northern Africa or in India, they'd kill a lot more people than they do in America, just because they're cryptic. The cryptic species bite more people. They still wouldn't bite as many people as saw-scaled vipers and Russell's vipers, because at the end of the day, a rattlesnake is one of the snakes that stands up and says, "Here I am. Don't stand on me." They rattle. It's the snakes that people accidentally step on that bite a lot of people. You want to see how large a land mallet is, and do they look like bobtails? I do have bobtails. I call them shinglebacks, just because it's what I've always known them as. I've only got 2 inside at the moment, because most of mine live outdoors. So shingleback lizard is what I know them as. But depending where in Australia you live, shingleback lizards, sleepy lizards, double-headed lizards, horseshoe lizards. They've got 35 different common names, but they're one of the coolest lizards in Australia. Yeah, everybody loves shinglebacks. Are wild horses bad for the environment? Spot on. I love horses. We have 8 horses here, but they are one of the most complex invasive species to talk about. It's bigger than a land mullet. No, so the land mullet is the biggest skink, well, the longest skink in Australia. What's a common skink we find in the garden? It depends where you live. The most common skink we find down here is just called the garden skink. but there's snake-eyed skink and ragged-eyed skinks and all sorts. There's 370 different skink species. Yeah, so a horse is bad for the environment. Horses are terrible for the environment. People who are interested in conserving wild horses or feral horses because of the cultural value of them, the first thing that they do is they jump up and down and say, well, what about the deer and what about the pigs? And it's true, deer and pigs in many places cause significantly more damage. But it's kind of like saying, let's not worry about breast cancer because ovarian cancer kills more people. Let's work on both of them. A lot in the Australian Alps. Well, there is a lot in the Australian Alps, and they're a big issue in the Australian Alps. And they need to be removed. We need to get rid of them. But there's actually a lot more horses in Central Australia. They just don't get much attention. But yeah, they cause a huge amount of environmental damage. The sad thing is they're ones that people get attached to. Where has Carolyn been? I don't know. I haven't heard from Carolyn for a little while. She did comment on one of our videos, but she hasn't been on a live stream. But I never want to pick on that because I know it's like 4 a.m. where she lives. Talika Ragusa is the best name for them. It is, but I can't say that to a bunch of kindergarten children. Think crocs are the only horse predators in Australia. Nothing else can hunt them. Yeah, nothing really hunts horses in Australia. Even crocodiles. Like, look, crocodiles are capable of taking a horse, but the vast majority of their diet is still fish and turtles and mud crabs. And, it might be 5% of the crocodile population is big enough to take things like horses and cows. And then how often do they eat? Pigs are destructive terrain for us. Spot on there. Do I know Australian Aussie Ark is managed by Tim Faulkner? Yeah, no, I know a bit about the work at Aussie Ark. It looks like they do some great stuff. Unfortunately, they're not really open to having other people film or work with them or anything. But they do some good stuff. Central Australia, yeah, there's between 1 and 15,000 feral horses in the high country. There is something like 50,000 plus feral horses in Central Australia. So, a lot more. Yeah, it is 4 a.m. over there. But I feel bad when she's been here for weeks and weeks and now she's not here. I feel like checking in. But she did comment on a video the other day, so she must be there somewhere. Did I know that many lizards are venomous? They have glands that excrete toxic substances. Yeah, so it's a relatively new idea that lizards are venomous. Brian Fry did a lot of work on it, a toxicologist who now lives in Queensland. They found venom glands in the vast majority of lizards, most of the dragons, all of the goannas. So yeah, Komodo dragon has dangerous bacteria. Yeah, the Komodo dragon certainly does have dangerous bacteria, but we now know that they actually have a venom as well. Emily, how are you doing? All I can say is, think of all the dreams you had when we were friends. Thank you very much, Emily. With the drop dead call to Sheila, the little one, but most of all, see, doing something you love. Yeah, I'm very lucky to do this. How big did the thylacine grow to? The ones that I've seen are, 20% larger than a Kelpie. The ones I've seen, the models and skeletons that I've seen in museums. Yeah. Don't we have water buffalo? We do have water buffalo. And water buffalo used to be a massive issue in Northern Australia. They still certainly are. But during the 1980s and 1990s, the Northern Territory government was worried about tuberculosis getting loose in Australia and water buffalo becoming a vector. And they put millions of dollars into eradicating buffalo. So there is still buffalo there, but their numbers are a fraction of what they used to be. So buffalo are closer to being under control. The issue with horses is we can't go and do the same thing. We can't just have an organized industry and shoot all the horses because it becomes a huge, issue with the public. Pythons can kill a buffalo. Yeah, so, well, there is no python on the planet today that is likely to kill a buffalo, really. Retics, retic would be the only snake really capable of it. And a reticulated python, the world's biggest reticulated python, couldn't eat a buffalo. Kill a buffalo calf. It'd be able to kill it. It couldn't eat it. In my state, how come the mountain lion is a dangerous animal but attacks are rare? So yeah, so it comes back to the whole, something's ability to kill you does not directly translate to how dangerous it is. Time to rowdy. All right, we'll get out of brown snake. And maybe this is a great example. All right, we'll take out the brown snake. So yeah, when it comes to your mountain lions, comes to our venomous snakes, sharks, crocodiles, whatever. The ability of something to kill you is not necessarily what makes it dangerous. Someone's keen for rowdiness. I know, I probably put off. Think a python can kill a goat or a calf. Yeah, a python can certainly kill a goat or a calf. Well, some pythons out there. So, besides just being able to kill you, something has to be inclined to want to kill you. So, you know, something like Rowdy here. Oh, geez, you are awake today. So Rowdy here, the eastern brown snake. This is the second most venomous snake in the world. This guy here is more than capable of killing me. Yeah, something like, I don't know, 40% of all snake bite deaths in Australia are from eastern brown snakes. But he doesn't, I say he doesn't want to, who knows. But we still only have about 2 people a year die of snake bite because he bites people. Unlike the mountain lion, he can't look at you as a food source. He bites you out of a defensive reaction. These guys are just highly defensive snakes. But just because he can kill people doesn't mean he wants to go out of his way to. When you go to predators like mountain lions and bears, you've got the additional thing. Those animals have evolved in a continent where they've been actively living with people for at least 15,000 years, I'd say, since the first Native Americans arrived. So they're not only, big enough to look at people as a food source, they've been a food source. They've been persecuted, especially in the last, 100 years. Mountain lions' natural range has massively diminished, particularly on the East Coast. So the mountain lions that weren't scared of people didn't survive. They were killed by people. They were run down with dogs and all sorts of things. I'm going to have to put you on the ground for a second, Rowdy. Which I don't want to have to do. You can see why I put Rowdy off. I can't read your comment tomorrow. He's not being too bad today, Rowdy, but because I was not working with any snakes on the ground, I'm only in my socks, which is a naughty no-no. But it means I can't really put him on the ground. Twitchy old boy you are. So, while we've got this guy out, like I said, he is the second most venomous snake on the planet today and the most common cause of snake bite death in Australia. But the reason these guys bite so many people is because they live over a huge section of the country. So the eastern brown snake is found from the top end of Queensland all the way through Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia. So they live where, 2/3 of the Australian population do. So they come into contact with more people. The dugite over in West Australia, it's highly venomous, doesn't bite as many people because it lives over 1 capital city. This guy lives over like 6 capital cities. So it's a big part of it is just the numbers game. But, like if you compare, going back to that mountain lion, the snake, the animals that kill the most people in America, I dare say horses would be number 1 and cattle would be number 2. You've got a big horse riding community in the United States. And that's taking out deer, like the amount of people that are killed by deer because they run their cars off the road or they hit a deer on the road and they have a car accident, that sort of stuff. But it's how we interact with an animal that makes them dangerous, not necessarily what the animal's capable of doing. Right, I'm going to put you away. I'm not going to push my luck too much tonight. I'm tired and I can't put you on the ground where you're comfy. But there we go, Brian. I did get Rowdy out. I'm sorry it's not going to be too much longer. But yeah, kangaroos can still kill people in Australia. They certainly can. All right. Let me scroll back up to where he's the man, what a beast, yeah. It's hard to believe he's the smaller. Pygmy pythons can totally kill a calf through suffocation. No, pygmy pythons couldn't kill a calf. Pygmy python could kill a medium to large rat. Where else? Someone's came for out of here. If Australia still had thylacoleo, would be awesome. A tree lion. It would be cool to see thylacoleo. I keep meaning to, when borders are open up, it's one thing I want to do a video on. I live about 2.5 hours from Narracourt, which is in South Australia. And Narracourt is some of the most diverse fossils in Australia. It's limestone country. And what's happened in limestone country is they've these huge caves. And they open up. You bet a calf could choke on a pygmy python. Sorry. Yeah, that's more like it. There's these huge limestone caves, and around the Narracourt region, over thousands of years, they've created these sinkholes where the roof has fallen in, and animals over thousands of years have fallen in, their fossils have just piled up. And, they've got the remains of a giant boa type snake. I can't remember his name, but yeah, all sorts of things. And there's quite a few Thylacoleo fossils, which is the marsupial lion, for those of you guys who don't recognize the name Thylacoleo. Thylacoleo carnifex was the biggest. And Thylacoleo was particularly interesting because he was what we call a wombatid. So he's a hypercarnivore. He eats nothing but meat, but he evolved from the family of koalas and wombats. So he's one of the only examples of a hypercarnivore evolving from herbivorous stock, which means he didn't have incisors and he didn't have carnassials, which is the shearing teeth. They actually evolved where all their molars just fused together, and they had these one giant molar on top and one giant molar on bottom, and they turned into like bolt cutters. So it would have been a very, very scary animal to meet once upon a time. I'd wish you do a video on the final type of wombat, the northern hairy-nosed wombat. I would love to do a northern hairy-nosed wombat video. And I've got a friend who reckons they might be able to get me into the Epping Forest to see them. The issue is it's like a 36-hour drive from my place to Epping Forest. And at the moment, the whole country's locked down, so I can't just go to Queensland. One day I will get to film with northern hairy-nosed wombats. It would be amazing. Narracourt, limestone country. Yeah, I'd love to do a video on the bats there. I've got a friend of mine reckons he might be able to get me in touch. Look like I need a rum before. I don't drink rum. But yeah, I do need to get a bit. We're going to wrap things up. Well, we've been here for 51 minutes already, so we're going to wrap things up in a little bit. Sammy, g'day, how are you? Really worth going there. We went there on our way back home. Yeah, I've been there before as a visitor, but I want to get in touch with them and see if I could do some videos like with them. So thylacine was last of those original hypercarnivores. Yeah, so fortunately, it's a sad story that he's gone, the old thylacine. Northern hairy-nosed wombat video would be awesome. It will be great. Unfortunately, the type of video that northern hairy-nosed wombat video would be, it's a bit like we've got eastern barred bandicoots where I live. They're in a large, like 300-acre enclosure. And I've got friends who are saying you should do a bandicoot video. Because the northern hairy-nosed wombats are wild animals, it'll be a totally different video. It'll be me here and 50 meters behind me, a wild wombat. And I'm happy to do it, and if you guys are happy to watch it, that's great. But the reality is, videos I've done in the past where I'm not holding an animal, like, here is the animal, don't do very well. People don't want to watch them. Eastern barred bandicoots, yeah, I've been meaning to go out in the enclosure and film some eastern barred bandicoots, but I've just got to try and do it in a way that people want to watch it. I think stomach bacteria is responsible for carnivores going herbivores and herbivores going carnivorous. Yeah, the panda, there's a really interesting video by the team from PBS Eons, and they talk about the panda and the way that pandas break down bamboo, they actually, their stomach treats it as if it was meat. And I can't remember the exact parts about it, but yeah, it's really interesting that they do it in a way that's actually far more efficient than you'd think. Any foreigners here might be thinking all these venomous snakes are real bad, but if you decide to come visit, you'll have to look out for the drop bear. Drop bears are fine. You just got to put a bit of Vegemite behind your ears as you walk around the bush. You'll be sweet. Do I think they're surviving thylacines? No, I don't. A lot of people talk about thylacines. I know a lot of people in my area have seen thylacines. Unfortunately, a lot of people have also seen the Virgin Mary ghosts and aliens. So our ability to human, I am tired, human sightings, like observations, don't really count for much. Because the brain can see what it wants to. A great example is Nigel from the Australian Marsupial Awareness Organisation or whatever. He put up a YouTube video, maybe I should do this. He put up this YouTube video a few months ago saying that he has undeniable evidence of a thylacine. And straight away he got like 500,000 YouTube subscribers. And he said he's going to release it next week. And when it popped out, it was clearly not a thylacine. People argued back and forth between it being a cat and a paddy melon. A bunch of very, very well-respected thylacine experts said it was a paddy melon. But I don't think Nigel lied. I just think that he is looking so hard for thylacines that he sees everything as thylacines. It's a bit like when I go looking for snakes on the road. After a little while, every squiggle on the road starts to look like a snake. Yeah, you heard that northern hair-nosed wombats are nocturnal. Yeah, they are. So it would be hard. What do I use for mites on blueies? I treat mites using frontline spray. Fipronol is the active ingredient. Send us a message, Emily, and I'll run you through the exact details. Because there's a bit of like husbandry sort of stuff I do. I set their cage up differently for a while. But yeah. Come down to Southwest Tassie sometime. I'd love to come to Southwest Tassie. Won't say I've seen one, but someone who works with dogs have never seen a dog open their mouth that wide. Yeah, look, I know lots and lots of people who see them, and look, I don't want to make myself an expert either. Just every photo I've seen of people that say they're thylacines, the hock joints in particular, are very reminiscent of a canid. The legs of a thylacine and a canid are very different. Where the hock is, so a dog hock is sort of, let's say, yay high up, and thylacines are in a very different position. So even from a really blurry, crappy photo, you can't say this is a dog or this is a fox, but you can say it's a canid. So yeah, patty melon confuses so many people. Would you ever get one for us? I'd love to get a patty melon. Unfortunately, patty melons, even when they're hand raised, don't end up as tame as things like redneck wallabies and Bennett's wallabies and Tamar wallabies. So I'd probably be more likely to get them if I was going to get something like that. I used to look after a lot of patty melons. They're very cute. I'd love to do a video on them, but I don't think I'd get them here at Wicked Wildlife because they're high stress. What about quokka from Rottnest? Quokkas are one of my animals. I had a video written up. I was visiting a friend who had a quokka, and it took me I said I was going to visit him, and it was like 3 months before I made it out there, and had all the notes written up for a video, and I'd fact check everything, and his quokka passed away before I made it down. So yeah, all photos of thylacines are generally taken on potatoes. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up there. We've been here for an hour, and I am ready for bed. But this live stream, I think I might even take down afterwards because it started off pretty blurry and all that sort of stuff. But if you have an idea for our next live stream, we do generally try to come up with a topic for each week. Leave it in the comments of one of our other ones. I want to say thank you to all our Patreon supporters, Tamara, Rami, especially TC Houston from Reptile Mountain and Perth Reptile Relocations, Michael Duggan. They're our two sort of commercial Patreon supporters. They're amazing. Neither do wallabies, evil little ankle biters. I've had some great wallabies. So yeah, if you want to have any ideas for that, leave us a comment. But other than that, guys, I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to head to bed. This has been the latest. I've managed to stay up for quite a while so far. And still got to do the last feeding and have a shower. But thank you guys for watching. Be nice to wildlife, guys. Check us out on Patreon. Subscribe. Leave a thumbs up. All that sort of jargon. I will see you guys next week.